Yeah, welcome.
Welcome to a very special episode.
Super special. This is the first, really professionally filmed episode.
Yeah, this is the first professional episode.
Which is
ever.
Freaking awesome.
And am I your first repeat guest?
Yes, actually.
Holy shit, dude. Holy shit.
For real.
Almost a year, I think, too.
Yeah, it was a year ago. Yeah, you had Brandon. I mean, we
Jack.
had...
Yes. You had me on.
I had you and Jack on.
Brandon was what you were calling me.
Yeah.
Not a third guy, but...
Not a third guy.
Yeah, it was me and Jack just hitting it.
And you guys had the setup. You guys had quite a setup.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah, now I live in a fucking apartment, so... can you curse on here?
Yeah.
Is it okay to curse on here?
Yeah.
On Brandon?
That's totally okay.
Well, I don't know if it's a family-friendly show. Do you have the little E on your podcast?
The little explicit thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We might get in some hot water.
Okay, I'll put that shit on there.
Yeah, put that. Please keep that on there.
Okay.
That thing on the podcast title.
Speaking of things. All right, so it's been a year. You know, we've definitely hung out between then.
Yeah. We're not just fake friends for the cast. We actually hang out.
Yeah, we've actually started to hang out. And I think before that, we didn't hang out
That's true.
a lot.
Yeah, that's true. The podcast almost preceded it. Now this is like a post-hang cast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, so you moved into this place.
Yeah, my life is all completely different.
Do you feel better?
My life is almost 100% completely different from
like
that
in a good
way. Definitely for the better.
That's good.
Like I don't feel 100%, but certain part. The only downside is like on the last cast I did with you. When I was living in Pasadena, we had a garage, and so we had it set up to do casts.
That's fun.
We had a garage studio. It was fun. And that's a major down. Now I live in Culver City in an apartment. I'll tell you what, I honestly, because my whole life when I was growing up, I was like, because I grew up in Napa, California. That's a docks.
Napa.
Yeah. I could say my childhood address because other people live there now.
I mean, if you want, don't. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't. It's a nice place, though. You can look it up. It's 1. Okay, that's all you get, the first 2 digits. But I grew up in Napa, and, it's a town. It's not a city, it's a town. Smaller, it's a town. It's got some rural elements,
Right.
Semi-rural. I wasn't really out there. I was at the edges of the town, but...
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so I spent a whole lot of my young life being like, oh, I love cities. You know what I mean? Like being in this sort of small town.
About that.
It kind of I sort of fetishized cities. I was like, cities are so sick. It's where it's at. I mean, common story,
Definitely.
The young.
How many people move to New York?
Exactly. And they go straight from like
Miami,
Iowa,
even.
some little town in Iowa that sucks. So it's like even crazier for them. For me, I'd gone to San Francisco growing up because we were like 45 minutes away. Mm-hmm. So I've been to the city frequently. And I was like, oh, dude, cities, apartment, live in an apartment. That's going to be dope. I really didn't want to do yard work. That was a big motivator.
Yeah,
I did a bunch of yard work in my childhood, and I remember being like,
"You're just like, I don't want to do this ever.
Never gonna fucking do yard work ever, bro. It's gonna be so dope." Then I went to college at Santa Cruz. Yeah. And at first I was like, "Fuck, dude," because I had this vision.
The turkeys and shit.
What?
Like the turkeys and shit.
Yes, the turkeys and the natural beauty, bro. Yeah. And I had this vision of going to school in a city, and so at first I was disappointed, but I actually got kind of nature pilled when I went to UC Santa Cruz.
Oh, you're talking about, I remember like last time you were talking about that that portable thing that used to...
The portable study setup? Yeah, the portable study center, folks, was an invention of mine that was pretty dope. I'm a guy who loves setups, as many guys do. I love a setup.
I think we all like that.
I love a setup, Yeah.
And
so I'm always looking for opportunities to sort of create a setup.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to make an office out of my car. I'd love to make a car office. That's a new setup I'm kind of kicking around in my head.
Okay. Yeah.
But cool. Do you want me to tell you about the mobile study setup?
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, just not too much.
Just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, around finals times, the libraries and cafes would get all full. I love to look right into the camera every once in a while. I think that's hilarious. Okay.
Do that, right?
You do that? You be looking into the camera.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tell them.
So the cafes and the libraries would get totally packed And I love studying in a library. That's like one of the great fucking tragedies of graduating from college. I mean, there's libraries, but the vibe in the library post-college is very different than the college library, where it's mostly students and stuff.
You're beyond the climax.
You're beyond the climax is exactly what I was going to say, yeah. Well, it's more like libraries in life outside of college are kind of decrepit, you know? Like they
like
don't.
Public libraries.
Yeah. They're not like
it's not like it's no Barnes and Noble.
No, it's no Barnes and Noble, and also like they're not like so many students. It makes sense on a college campus to keep the library nice enough to study in because people are gonna use it. Yeah. I think they should get rid of all the libraries.
Like
just
that aren't in college.
Yeah, I'm like a hardcore like
that's crazy.
No taxes. Get rid of all the libraries. You know how like you get like there's
libertarian.
Yeah, I'm like full libertarian. You know, like the water that comes to your house?
Yeah.
Like plumbing?
Yeah.
I don't even think they should do that. I don't even think they should do that.
You're just wasting your money.
Everyone should get their own pipe. Like, everyone should have to build their own sewer
pipe and, like, figure it out.
Yeah, like, they should
text your neighbor, link it up.
Wow, text your neighbor. Yeah, that's sort of a collective. That's what they did back in the day. They just texted their neighbor.
There's like, hey, I have a pipe running, like, 30 degrees south. Wow. What's yours at?
That's dope as fuck, honestly. Now we're almost...
We don't even
That's almost too much teamwork for me, though.
Okay.
As a libertarian. I'm almost thinking that's kind of too much collab. I'm thinking that
your own.
There needs to be like 400 pipes per neighborhood. No linking up.
Yeah, like no efficiency.
No efficiency. Well, I mean, if it's harshing my freedom, no efficiency.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. That's the
number one freedom.
Here's the thing, freedom's number one. As a libertarian, freedom is number one for me. Anyway.
Okay.
None of that's true. Okay. And, you know, these days, you never know. I don't want to get clipped out of context. You're notorious for clipping your guests out of context. Do you know that? You've kind of built up a reputation.
I've never done that.
You've kind of built up a reputation where, like, you take some comment out of context and get people fired.
Yeah. I mean, now, like, it sounds sort of cool. You're making it sound cool.
You're like TMZ. Or Piers Morgan or something.
I was actually on The Matrix as an extra, and then they had to cancel. They had to cancel one of the days, or they had to like postpone something because TMZ got on
the set
and like started taking pictures and
Dude,
stuff.
You can't do that.
It's fucked up.
You know, I'm a Hollywood guy. I've been saying this for a while. Tell me what you think of this. So, like, Hollywood rules, right? Paparazzi? Too harsh?
I think...
here's what I'm saying. Capital punishment is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Should only be reserved for the most heinous crimes.
Like taking pictures of someone.
Like
in public.
Like ruining the filming of a Matrix movie.
Yeah.
Think about what a headache that is for everyone involved.
For everyone.
Oh, we got to come back. We got to reshoot.
Thousands of people. Hundreds of people.
Thousands, hundreds. You downgraded it? See, normally people, they go hundreds, thousands. You go thousands,
hundreds. Yeah, because I was like thousands.
Like,
but, you know, there are thousands.
No, there are thousands.
But, like, on site, like, maybe hundreds. But, like, overall in the production, like, definitely thousands. So, you know, I don't know why I did that way, but...
I thought it was kind of sick.
Depends.
So basically, the cafes and the libraries would fill up during finals.
Okay.
So what the mobile study setup was I was like, I need to devise a setup that allows me to have like a little study corner in any, because the UCSC's campus is quite big. There's a lot of natural areas like fields and forests and stuff. So I had an electric bike also. I had an electric bike, cool. And I was like, I want to be able to mount this setup like on my bike and like transport it. Full mobile, dude. So here, the setup was pop-up tent, Coleman, very cheap pop-up. You can't even stand up in it. It's like it looks like half a donut.
Like you could sit there.
You can sit inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like lay out maybe. But even then, I might. But anyway, so pop-up tent that folds down into a little circle.
Cool.
Maybe about 2 or 3 feet wide.
Cool. Yeah.
Then you got a stadium. Have you ever seen these stadium chair back things? They like you put it on like a bench and then you fold it up, so it's like a seat back. It's so you can sit like on the ground but have a back.
Yeah, I have seen those.
Yes, dude. Okay, that. Cool. Then little teeny desk, like a breakfast in bed desk.
Oh, okay. Would that fold up as well? Or?
That also folds. Cool. Everything. It's 100% necessary for the mobile study setup, it has to fold up. Cool. It has to fold. So that was the true mobile study setup. So I would go on the bike path and then I would turn off of it. I'd off-road. Then I'd set up the pop-up tent, set up the mini desk. Deploy. Dude, it was, I could deploy mobily. It was kind of epic. Sick. And then I'm realizing the thing you saw was a kind of slightly less, that was my on-foot study setup, which consisted of a folding chair backpack.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you could have you're like a minier version of
it. That was the sort of like man-powered study. So there was a folding chair.
That's sick too.
The mini folding desk, and then like an umbrella that mounted on the chair so the sun didn't kind of get in my face.
That's cool. Did people come up to you and like ask you about it, or was it pretty much they're just like whatever?
Well, the point was to be undisturbed.
Yeah.
I really wanted to put it places where no one would see it. And I was also
That's cool.
I had a paranoia that like the campus police would think I was a homeless person trying to sleep on campus, which is like, I mean, now I realize that probably wouldn't have happened, but also if it did, I could be like, but I'm not.
Yeah, you just have an ID card.
I could just be like, but I'm not that.
Yeah.
And they probably would.
Like, I have books.
But I didn't want to be bothered,
Yeah, you don't even want to start.
Also, maybe I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Okay. I think only one person ever joined me in the mobile study setup, and I don't think they were trying to study.
I see.
And I don't think we studied. I think I was like,
that
wow.
Happened.
I was like, check out this mobile study setup, and I think I had sex in a tent. That might have happened.
They were just like, hey, this guy's pretty industrious.
Yeah.
I like that.
They were like, this guy can make setups.
This guy can make
This guy is making wicked setups, just going.
Yeah, if it were like apocalyptic times, like this guy would like protect.
Yeah, maybe it was primal. Maybe it was primal. The person was like, thinking. This guy could. Yeah, dude, I'm fucking wheeling around on an e-bike with a tent on the back of it, dude. I'm so set up.
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse, that would suck.
Yeah, I hope not. But hey, sometimes we just need to start.
You hope it wouldn't suck, or you hope it doesn't happen?
Both.
Yeah, I hope it does happen, but it doesn't suck.
That would be the best, honestly.
That would be kind of
if it happened, but it was like great.
Yeah, like if total annihilation came, but it was like hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if what if nuclear war happened, but it was like very funny? Is that possible? Is there a way to make that happen?
I think it depends on what we were on as a species, like what type
of shit we're on.
Yeah, because I think if you were on the right, you'd be like, "Damn, this is all going to be over soon."
Or if everyone was like, if everyone was Joker maxing.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Joker maxing is a term I just heard recently. It's probably my understanding of Joker maxing is like, it's sort of like Sigma male, in the sense that it's like disregard. Like, I think what Joker maxing is like you're kind of maxing out the part of yourself that's like, I just want to watch the world burn.
Okay.
So it's like you're not going to fall into the sort of alpha beta male trap. Like, you're not going to fall into society's traps. You're bringing chaos. You're bringing unpredictability. You're Joker maxing.
Mm-hmm.
You're maxing Joker stats.
So what are like some examples? Like how does it manifest usually?
That's one.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I have to please. And if Joker maxing actually means you're like a school shooter or something, someone tell me, because it could mean that. I don't know.
Okay.
This is just a new term I'm learning about.
Okay, it's interesting.
I like to plunge the sort of slimier parts of YouTube.
Yeah, which is cool.
It's the point of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's the initial inciting incident.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it pisses me off too when see some viral TikTok of some jabroni who's never even been on, 4chan. And he's like, oh, I saw looks maxing so crazy. And it's like, bro,
it's like you haven't.
Watch my episode. Seriously, go to my podcast. I think it's like episode 4, looks maxing. Please watch it. It's so crazy. It's crazy.
Dude, I saw that. That was crazy.
That episode?
Yeah.
It's a good episode.
I liked it. I thought it was like your best work.
It's one of our best episodes to this day.
That was hard.
Anyway, so Joker maxing and Sigma pilled. And then, so I got kind of nature pilled at UCSC. Mm-hmm. And that kind of fucked with the city vision.
Permanently?
No, well, it permanently opened my eyes. You know what I think it was that growing up in a place like Napa, I couldn't help but take for granted what it was like. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see the natural beauty of it growing up because it's all I know.
That's all you know.
So it's like I can't really see it for what it is.
Yeah.
Then I go to Santa Cruz. It's a new place. so I can appreciate the rural elements, the natural elements in this new way, because it's not all I know. And that permanently opened my eyes to the benefits of that type of place over a city, you know? Then when I finally got down here, I lived in a shitty apartment in Glendale for a while, and then we moved to this house in Pasadena. I kind of got house pilled.
Like houses are better than apartments.
I was kind of like, I'm kind of house and yard pilled.
Yeah, I remember going to the Blue Brick show, and I was like, dang, this is like the shit. Like, you guys had a whole backyard. You had a whole situation.
Well, and that's what most people like about it. You know what it is? I'm realizing it ties in with the setup thing, because what I realize is with a house, if you have a garage is literally just a fucking setup, like the zone for setups. Garages are all about setups, dude. Podcasts, green screen, work, home gym.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. It's a fucking
setup, dude. Just epic setup zone.
That's cool. Garage. Yeah, who needs like their car in it?
No, I think a guy like me, no fucking way. Yeah. I understand why if you got nothing going on and
you're normal. Shit.
If you're just like if you come home and you just like if you come home and you just go like until you go to bed and then you like wake up and go to work again, I get why you put the car in the garage.
Yeah, because you
have no setup inclination.
You don't have thought to be like, oh, I could use this for.
I know. I'm being an elitist dude around. I mean, like if you're a hard worker, you need your car to be clean or whatever. But to me, definitely. It seems like such a waste.
Yeah,
because it's a whole room.
It's a studio.
And it's the studio, dog. Yeah. I need a studio, and that it's kind of killing me being here with no studio.
I see.
I will say that's having my room be my studio. Yes, dude.
Yeah.
I need a place where I can do like leave like sawdust on the ground and shit like that.
It's fine.
You
just leave it there and it's fine.
In my room?
No, in like the studio.
Yeah. I need a place where it's fine to do that.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I've never had a garage that I could use like that. Like I grew up, my parents had a garage, but it's like obviously like there's not. It was like for the cars, but yeah, I've never.
And you tried to explain to them like, Mom, Dad, this is cringe as fuck, dude. Get the car out of this garage.
I think I was too young to really have a concept of that. I think I didn't know what I could do with a garage back then. Yeah, but now I know. If I could go back in time, I would have said that.
Paint. You could paint in a garage.
Could paint. You could do music in there.
Dancing.
Yeah, you could dance. You could have a band.
You could have a bar.
Yeah, you could make shit in there. People make stuff in their garage.
That's huge. That's what I'm saying. A spare room.
They have like a workbench.
It's such a luxury, but a spare room is maybe the most mega shit of all time. Yeah. And I need that.
It's awesome.
Because right now, I've gone back to, what I had the rest of my life, which is my room is my studio. Yeah. That fucking blows chunks. I hate that.
Yeah, because your bedroom, you're sleeping in there and you need to separate.
Yes, it's psychically wrong. I do think it's kind of psychically wrong because it's not good. It's not good to wake up and then my desk where I do like work is right there.
I agree with that.
Especially I work from home 2 days a week.
Yeah, so you're in your bedroom.
Yeah, I'm just like waking up and getting on my computer and working. Ew, dude, I hate that.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, now they're like
people with offices are so blessed, dude. Like, if you can get up, go.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse.
Why is it a curse?
Oh, a home office.
Yeah, home office.
Yeah. A
home office.
Top tier.
Yeah.
Top tier.
Like you get up, you just go to your office.
That's kind of the shit I'm about.
Yeah.
Is a home office.
I've never had that. I want that, dude.
We had it for like a second because we only had 3. That was because when we moved into that house, because it was a serendipitous situation that led us to having a line on that house to rent it. Even.
Okay.
We might not have gotten it but we knew the person who lived there before. And when we went in, the rent was too expensive because it was just the 3 of us.
Yeah.
But when it was just the 3 of us, bro, having it
that extra space,
dude, we had the garage, the yard, and just a fucking room, just a room. That shit was insane.
That's a clubhouse.
It was
that's a fucking
a clubhouse. It was a head of operations, dude.
Yeah.
It was a headquarters.
That's an HQ.
It was an HQ. I can't stress enough that it was an HQ.
Like to be that young and have that.
To be as young as I was like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was other stuff going on that made it not so ideal, but yeah. Normally, that would be really cool at that age to have.
Yeah.
I wish I had it now.
I know, dude. Yeah, I wish I had that. Like, I just think that you need that. Like, there's so much freedom that comes with having space in general.
Absolutely.
It's so empowering, dude.
It's huge.
Yeah, the gov.
The gov just kind of going NSA style on brain dump with Ronald.
Do you think that, because I think about that a lot, like, you know, the NSA, like how the government, you know, they have access to all this stuff, and like, you know, there's a lot of like encrypted stuff, like, you know, a lot of stuff in like Apple is like
that's
encrypted.
All bullshit though.
So
it's like 100% bullcrap.
Yeah, so yeah, what do you think about that? And like, because you know they have to like get like permission to like access it.
Yeah, but
like,
yeah,
but like other stuff isn't encrypted.
I think that you're almost. I think you're. The truth is, most people don't have to worry about it, right? That's what we can all bank on. Yeah, we're not of interest. People. Although I would say, you know, that kind of changes once we get into a situation where like companies have access to that data, right? Because like you are of interest to all healthcare companies or something like that.
Yeah, because they can sell you stuff.
Right. So maybe you're not of interest to the government, but also like, I also think that something that we were banking on for a while, maybe, and I'm not a computer scientist, so I don't know. I'm kind of just talking out my ass here, but like something we could bank on before is like if you hear like, oh, the government or a corporation or something is collecting like, let's say, all phone calls, right? I don't even think that's happened. The NSA thing was like metadata, but let's just say they recorded all phone calls, right? Yeah. Okay, there was a time where you could maybe bank on like, well, that doesn't really matter because like if they're just recording all phone calls, like that would be so difficult to sift through all the phone calls.
Yeah, like why would they spend time
and listen to them? Exactly. Yeah. They're not going to start listening to your phone call until like there's a reason to target you. But I think that changes once we get into where we are now, where like as AI and speech recognition and these types of technologies get for, like, better and better. Exactly. So you have a reverse where like, okay, if they were recording every phone call, that might not be a big deal if they have to like actually assign a person to listen to them all.
Yeah, but which is like what they do in like China, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, like if they
they have like people, dude. They have like rooms of people.
Well, they probably are advancing the tech too.
Yeah.
But that gets scarier. Then it's like, oh, instead of doing that, instead of having a reason to look at you and then do that, they could just be like, okay, we want you to report to us anytime these three words come up in this call or something, you know. Yeah. Which and then and that's the government thing, which I don't think is, you know, but like what's scary about that is the corporate angle. Like if a healthcare provider or the insurance companies can get access to a mass of this data, then they could just be like, okay, if this chronic condition gets mentioned like 16 times, raise this person's, you know, payment by this amount. Or like, you know what, you could even like just crazy shit.
Yeah, but like, could they legally be able to do that? You know,
surely.
Because you could say like, why are you raising my payment? And then they would have to, like, I mean, they would, you know, if you took them to court, they'd be like, oh, well, like, how did you get that information? And they'd have to like say.
The question though of legality, I mean, it's the unfortunate. Yeah, can they legally do that? I mean, that's subject to change, right? I mean, because like, I would hope that's illegal. Right, but I don't think that doesn't necessarily mean it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's illegal for them to listen to you, but you know, which like I don't know, maybe is unfortunate, but I think it's illegal for them. I mean, it's not illegal, but I think like you could complain or like file like a civil case if they like raise your insurance.
But here's my concern, Ron. The problem with it being a legal issue, and I don't really know what the fix to this is, but I think when it comes to technology and surveillance stuff, my concern is that whether or not something is happening, if it's possible, that's an issue. That scares me.
You're right, though.
Because, like, the capability existing,
someone could
do it. Right.
Even
like
if there's a rule, like, no, you're not supposed, they could do it.
There's a rule, but also like I can also easily envision a world where it's legal to do that. Like, you know, if you file a case,
checking anyone.
Or like pre-existing conditions. Like there's been periods of time where changing someone's healthcare costs based on pre-existing conditions or not doing that has been legal and not legal in recent years. I'm pretty sure, because wasn't part of the Affordable Care Act that like you couldn't consider pre-existing conditions?
Like like to raise your rate if you
if you're
deny you coverage.
Deny you coverage. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but before that, you could do that. So all I'm saying is like it's not difficult at all for me to imagine a world where you're like, oh, suddenly my premiums went up. What's up about that? And then you sue them and say like, oh, you must have read that I was diagnosed with XYZ, and or that I think I have XYZ, and then they say, well, yeah, that's legal to do. Like that's information we bought from these companies that harvest data or something like that.
Because they're buying.
Yeah,
that's
and
crazy.
then the database stuff, what freaks me out about that, once again saying that, like the capability freaks me out more than whether or not. It's like, because people will talk about it like, well, they're not doing that now. And it's like, who cares? Well, but what if you have a giant database, right?
Yeah.
And these algorithms that sort it and go through it and can pull useful data from it, it becomes more useful over time. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's getting better.
Like if you have a giant database of information that you go like, yeah, but we couldn't even go through it. That doesn't mean that in 10 years someone could go
write
through
a program to go through it and like pick what they want.
Exactly. I think people need to think like that. Yeah,
that's true.
People need to think down the road,
because that stuff like is out there and it's being recorded.
That's the fucking issue. Even if they didn't, if they captured no data after today on anybody, right?
They'd still have.
Think about how much data is accessible about you. A lot.
It's so much.
They've got your number. Like if they could suddenly access it all. Yeah.
Everything. More than people know about. More than like the closest people in my life know about me.
Of course.
Is there.
Yeah. Although, I don't like that.
I know.
I don't like that very much at all.
Okay. Let's move on.
I'm actually, because you're saying, I actually think about this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty upset about it.
Yeah, I'm upset. Like
tech, dude.
Yeah, I know that you think about it.
Phones are bad.
Yeah, phones are bad, but we're using it right now.
Yeah, well, that's the fucking Faustian bargain.
Faustian bargain.
That's the Faustian bargain, dude. They're like, oh, do you want to be able to like have a cool camera that is really easy to use? And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then they just like get my soul
on your phone if you forget your
Apple Pay, bro.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Every once in a while, like I think of myself as such a tech guy. But like technology,
I think guys like that. Like guys like want to be technological. There's like an instinct for us to master.
You think it's
technology.
Biological?
I think so. It's like a male. I don't know if it's male, but it's just like a human. Even like we're fascinated by technology. I think some people aren't. I don't know. I think that. I think that people in general, like some people in general, are really fascinated by technology, and some people like are just not technology.
Yeah. Well, I think socialization.
And it's a what is it called? Generational thing too. Like younger people are definitely more into it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that as far as, because it definitely does seem that way in the world, right? If we generalize, if we're like, oh, it does seem like men are into gadgetry more often, but it's hard to say, right? If that's nature or nurture. Mm-hmm. If that's societal or not. It's hard to say.
You're right, though.
For me, I mean, I'm not a biologist or a sociologist, but I could see it being a little both, or it being like socialized or something like that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I love women. And I think that, so they could get all into technology if they want. I think that's great.
Yeah.
They bring me great joy. They do. Oftentimes.
Yeah. They do.
But all I was going to say was, I like to think of myself as a technological guy, but then I just like boomer out on shit like completely. Like I just miss boats because I'm like, I don't really want to deal with that. Like Apple Pay. I didn't start using Apple Pay for like, when did Apple Pay come out? When did that start being commonplace?
Maybe like 2017, 2018, something like that.
I don't think I started using Apple Pay until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think I just like always paid with my card.
Yeah, because you're like, this is a little bit too...
Well, I think that switch was definitely flipped. I was like, man, fuck all this new shit. I became old.
Yeah, I think there's an element of rebellion too with that. It's like, why do like they want you to use like all this new shit, but it's like, do I really you need to ask yourself if like you
think
really
critically.
need it.
This is exactly. I think that's with technology so often people, well, the industry certainly, and then the consumers, we the people, we the people. That's a phrase I like to just drop in conversation. I like to talk about us as we the people, but there's this temptation to do whatever is possible. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like when it comes to technology, like when social media was being developed, the question is all around like, well, what is possible? What can we do? Yeah. It's not like, would it be good to do that? That question is never asked. Can we do it? No one is ever asking like, but would it be good? Like when they were making Instagram,
that's like an afterthought.
It is an afterthought, right? Yeah, because like when they were making Instagram, they weren't like, hopefully this doesn't melt the brain of every 16-year-old woman instantaneously. And then that took like 12 years, and they were like, actually, it does. Sorry.
Yeah, like, do you think they could have foreseen like influencers and like where it is today when they made it?
Foreseen? I don't know, but they certainly, I mean, as these developments were happening, they took advantage of them. They didn't do anything to stop it, right? Because it makes them money. There's profits. But this, what I was also going to say is that what's unfortunate, and there's a reason for it, is that as people who consume technology, we make the same mistake oftentimes. I guess this thing that happens to me that's really frustrating is like new technological breakthroughs will come out, right? And then like if you even try to AI, I'm thinking of AI. Everyone's talking about it. This huge buzzword for the cast. This is going to get you up in the YouTube algorithm. Yeah. AI, Chat GPT, DALL-E 2, Stable Diffusion. The thing that is interesting about it is like, okay, obviously there's two extremes. There's like the people who are like, it's bad just because it's new and I hate it and it seems wrong to me. There's the Luddites, you know? And I'm probably kind of, sometimes I'm like that. Sometimes I see new shit and I'm like, I hate it because it's new and I have no reason. I just hate it. And I almost think it's kind of respectable to be like that. But it's not the most logical position. Then you have the people who are like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, like reviewing it.
Whoa!
Yeah, like do you ever watch those YouTube channels of like the tech gadget review guys, and they buy every single thing.
They're sick.
It's crazy.
They're a piece of a puzzle that's sick, dude. It's deeply sick. But anyway, I was gonna say then there's people like, but what I find is interesting is that I think at very least, okay, even if you're not saying it's awesome, it's gonna save humanity, or you're saying like, oh, it's horrible, it's gonna destroy humanity, it's at least significant when something like that comes out.
It is.
It is usually significant for human life, you know, that change. Yeah. And yet, I find this thing that happens where if you bring it up to people, there's almost this like, lots of people will do this thing where they're like, oh, come on, it's normal. Like, it's just what it came out, you know, it just ends there, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, I remember when we were pre-GPT, pre-chat GPT, and it was just the images. A few months ago. Yeah, it was just the images. And I was just like, well, this is at least crazy. You know what I mean? It's at least crazy.
It's at least crazy.
It's at least crazy. And then people were like, oh, you know, people said like photography was crazy when it came out. And it's like, yeah, it was. This is what's frustrating me. It was crazy. Because people are like, oh, they said, oh, art was going to be destroyed by photography. Okay, did photography destroy art? No. But it did change reality, bro.
It changed the medium. It made a new medium available to where a lot of attention went to it that was traditionally on the old medium.
Well, it changed art. Certainly it changed art. It didn't destroy it, but it changed the fuck out of it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, I would say photography changed humanity.
Yeah.
Easily. Imagine right now a world where the only way you can see some shit
is to see
it or have someone do like a drawing
of it.
And if one of those two things doesn't happen, you're like, can you describe it to me? That's all. Someone has to describe it to you. Or you have to see it. Like imagine politics right now. Like imagine if like you never watched Trump speak. Or you'd never seen a photo of him. Or you'd seen like one photo of him in a newspaper.
We just had to read it in a newspaper.
That's a different way of life, for sure.
Totally. Attention span's completely different.
Or just your understanding of like your place in the world. Like,
yeah, the delay.
Yeah.
Of things coming to you.
And how you live like in your Because I think something that...
I think there's less of like... Yeah, I think my mind is like racing about... Like, I think it's like there's less of a community. Like, with everything being like so globalized and like the news happening...
Are you listening to this?
There's so much that's just instant, and it's coming from like one source, whereas like I feel like before that, like I might be wrong, but like there was more of a community aspect. Okay, like how are we gonna like change our community, because there wasn't like this feed from like a central source that like everyone's getting, that's almost creating like more of like a hive.
Well, here's the thing that's very crazy about it. You're absolutely right, and I think that this is so. You were asking me before the show, what am I thinking about recently? Okay, This is a disturbing thought I have, is that I think about like how, the technological environment we're in sort of like changes you, right? It changes how you view yourself, and also changes like how daily life is. Like I guess, and we can't imagine it. We can't imagine a previous epoch before the technology. Because this is, I do think that like, okay, so if you're my mom, you're growing up pre-computer, pre-internet.
Yeah. I
think that not only like our sort of ideological, like how you view the world, how you view yourself, that's different. But I bet you that it felt different to like walk around.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Screens or without headphones.
I bet you going to a bar was different in a world without cell phones.
It was more visceral, because I think, now it's like there's a certain place in our brain that I'm like trying to describe this. I know it's crude, but like
we're both having a hard time. It's very hard to discuss.
Yeah, there's like a certain place in your brain or like mental that's like allocated to the phone world.
Yes, the phone.
And
yes,
yeah,
exactly. This is what's crazy. And this is why I think it changes your consciousness, because it's like there's a piece of your brain now that is allocated to the phone world, both in receiving, but also like considering that it exists. Like, don't you think that if you're at a bar, of course you're not thinking about it all the time, but don't you think you go to a bar or a party, part of your mind is dedicated to knowing like, I'm kind of being filmed right now. And you're not, but you could be at any moment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by being filmed? Like,
or that, okay, here's what I'm saying. I think that, and maybe not everyone is like this, or maybe everyone is, but it's some subconscious thing. I'm saying that like most people use their phone a lot now. Wouldn't you agree? These days, people are on their phones, folks. Okay. So, and not only are people on their phones, people are posting. Like most people are posting
a lot,
even
like
if it's infrequent. Well, yeah, that's probably. I mean, there's probably lots of people who don't post once a day, but even so, or they're consuming that content.
Yeah.
If at least they're a lurker.
One of the two.
Yeah, and so I kind of think that maybe there's this thing now where like when you walk down the street, forget the bar, right? When you walk down the street, I wonder if there's a part of your mind that is like, oh, what if I photographed this? Or like this thing that I'm seeing, what is that like as a piece of content that could go online?
Yeah, dude.
You're always doing that subconsciously.
Yes, dude. That's wild.
And I think that's and so you're not merely where you are. You are kind of also like you're always viewing things how they could be presented on the screen.
Yeah.
Or how someone else might present them on the screen. And then yourself too, like how you would look doing what you're doing.
Yeah, like is this worthy of recording? Even if you have no intention of doing that, you just think about how worthy it is.
It might be popping up. Yeah. The question of should I record this is always going on a little bit, I think, for many people. And so I wonder what life is like without that, and I cannot know. Not really.
I don't know. Yeah.
Although, we caught the tail end of it not being like that, which I am thankful for.
Yeah, just a little bit. Because I was born in 92. I got my first phone when I was in, I think I was a junior in high school when I got my first phone. And, before that, I was on the computer from, a young age. Like, we had a computer when I was, 5. I was,
really?
going on, Netscape and shit.
Wow, dude. You hit
printing out stuff.
Nice. But that's a different internet.
But that was a different internet.
So different than what we have now.
Yeah. And so I got a little bit of not being on it. But I feel fully colonized by it, dude. I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm fucking in it. I'm in it, and like many people, I'm in it, and I'm always thinking about what it means to be in it, But then a lot of people don't. This is what I'm saying. What I hate almost more than anything is people who, when you bring any of this up, they're like, well, it's just kind of how things go. Well, it happened. It's done. It happened, and just chill out. Why don't you just use the phone? And
it's like, bro, what are you thinking about all the time?
Or I don't understand where it comes from. I don't understand what the resistance is, because I just remember like at work, I was like, wow, this like this art stuff like this, it's gonna change things, and they were like, oh yeah, people always say that. It's like, people always say that. You're gonna hit me with people always say that. With the photography thing.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's like you don't want to think about it, or
I don't know. Maybe people don't.
It's not interesting.
Well, and then if it sounds kind of elitist, I guess. But then I think that the true way to frame it is like, because why do I use it then, right? If I think it's bad, why do I use this stuff? And I think it's because like as a we the people.
Okay.
We the people are beaten down. You know what I'm saying? We're
into doing it, or?
We're so strapped for time. Most people are so strapped for time.
Yeah.
So strapped for cash that you never have the opportunity to like okay, the smartphone could be an example. Okay? The smartphone is basically a necessity for life now. Okay? You basically have to have it. Not even basically. We're firmly in you have to have it territory, I would say.
Yeah.
For most jobs.
If you have a job.
Yes. If you're going full neat, you might not need it, I guess.
Yeah.
But even then, think about how removed from society you would be without it. But you
have to have at least a computer, I think.
Certainly. But and maybe, I guess what I'm saying is, we don't really get the opportunity. We give up a lot for convenience. We give up a lot of things for convenience. Okay.
Because of the time.
Because of time and money. Like an example would be like, people have these sort of artsy fartsy conversations about like physical media, right? Like people talk about like, well, what's the downside of Spotify for the consumer? Okay, we know what the downside for the music, for musicians is. But for the consumer, right? And you'll see these articles that are talking about how like, they can remove stuff from it at any time, right? You could have some song that's really important to you or something, and it could just get taken off Spotify any moment. Totally obliterated. But then we all still use it. And why do we use it? Because it's convenient, and because people don't have enough money to like make a CD collection, and so on and so forth. And it's like, I think the reason that we do that sort of thing, even if we are not afforded the opportunity in the world that most people live in to decide if we want to do something like that or not. Like convenience is a must because our lives are so we need convenience.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't have it, then you feel left behind, I think.
Yeah, socially.
And like it's even hard for me. It's even hard for me to read a physical book nowadays,
bro. Yeah, our brains are here, and you know what? And this is when I get on my Luddite shit. When I get on the shit where I'm like, just screw it, is because people always hit you with, oh, well, people have always said this. People have always said it's getting worse. But what if it was?
Yeah,
no,
what if
JK, it's better in many, many ways.
There's trade-offs.
But there's certain things, the technological landscape, because like, okay, I'm joking about the people say it was always getting worse thing, but it is true that like, I do think that's kind of a scapegoat that does like, okay, people are like, oh, people always thought, people thought books were bad. People thought books were evil. And once again, they weren't evil, but they did change a lot.
They changed.
But also it's just crazy to me if you're like, oh, the phone is bad. People are like, there is kind of a joke where like, oh, it's the dang phones. Like Boomer's saying, it's the dang cell phones. It is the dang cell phones a little bit, I would argue. And I think it's not right it's just as silly. Okay, to say that every new technology is the worst thing in the world. To say that is just as silly to say, well, none of that matters. To say that it's actually all fine. And it's all
just
good.
as silly because there's no nuance. You're not critically analyzing it.
Yes. And so we should be critical about the dang phone.
It's like medication. Like every medication you get, there's like a side effect. There's like some type of trade-off.
Yes.
It's like the same thing. Anything that comes into your life, like there's positives about it and there's negatives about it.
And if I allow myself to spin out, I think the cell phone shit, I mean, because you're talking about like, okay, attention spans, right? People's attention spans being shortened. That's crazy on a personal level. I mean, is that when you say it's hard for me to read a physical book? Why do you mean? Expand.
I think because I'm used to getting a lot of dopamine from like videos and from music and audiobooks that are like so accessible and like switching through everything so quick.
So there you go. That's you. Yeah. That's me. That's everybody. Yeah. We realize it's happening, but here's what freaks me out. Okay, it's enough for it to be bad on a personal level. But you're telling me that if you change everyone in a society in a certain way, okay, so it's like if you obliterate the attention span of like 50% of people, what the fuck is the consequence of that? That's gotta have a major consequence.
It sucks to think about because it's like it doesn't seem good when I hear that.
It doesn't feel. It just seems to me like it's. There's no way that is also. Not only is that bad, it's not happening in a vacuum. There's got to be some broader implication to that.
Yeah,
there has to be.
There might be research done 10, 20 years from now about it, but for now we're just in this experiment and it's just happening.
It is just happening. See, this is what I don't like. I don't like that it just happens and that we have no choice but to have it just happen. Or that's how it feels, at least.
Yeah. Modern technology with AI, internet, huge databases of, content is very new.
Yeah.
And it's so in demand and it's so awesome from an entertainment standpoint. And even an educational standpoint, to have access to all these things, it's like, of course we're going to say yes. Why would we, how can we research something without going through it is another question that I have.
Right. Like, how could we, I don't know, man. I think there must be a way, because the other big component of this is that it is profit driven.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that very much changes the situation. Like because that is the system by which technology gets pushed forward in our marketplace, right? Like it has to turn a profit, or else there is no justification for it, right? So even if it's developed at like a university,
it's either for a profit or it's for some type of defense purpose. A lot of like some also technology comes from like the military,
right? Well, there's profits involved in that as well.
Yeah,
there's some of the biggest profits,
probably. Yeah,
and that is a problem, because that is part of why the question of should we is never asked, right? Because it's like, if you're the company that makes ChatGPT, what are you going to do? Unrelease it? You're going to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to eat, $1 billion. We decided that actually this would be bad for humanity, so we're just going to fucking
that's rare that
eat $1 billion. Impossible. It will not happen. Like, and not only that, so it's like these technologies that could be so sick. Like, there is such crazy sick shit you could do with any of this, right? Mm-hmm. But it is used only in ways that maximize profits. So it's like, if you look at the literature,
those ways are good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's the problem is that because things must make profit to survive in the environment we're in, right?
Yeah.
They are framed that way. So it's like when companies, selling. The people who are funding the development of these AI technologies, they are funding it on the basis of ways that it could make money. That's the ultimate goal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a lot, dude.
It's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I was like talking about my friend Thomas. To Thomas about this. He's like a developer, and we were talking about like how AI, what kind of jobs AI is going to take, and it's going to take like so many jobs that are like repetitive,
right?
And like even like honestly, like if you think of like a fast food restaurant, like the people taking those orders, like totally AI. Like AI can just do that so easily. Like, take your order.
Yeah. Well, you need AI, right? I mean, the kiosks do it already.
Yeah, but. Yeah, or just technology. Computer technology. And I feel like it's exciting because, it's like, okay, we're eliminating like work that people have to do. Right. But then, you look at capitalism and you look at, what are people going to do with their lives? And like, it's really important to answer that, have a solution for like, okay, what are people going to do? Like people that their job is like now obsolete, like what do they want to do? What is the best thing for them to do?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's another interesting thing about it, right? Because it's like when something like that comes out, like when like people will complain, like, well, this is going to get rid of people's jobs, you know? Yeah. So if I kind of flip-flop, it's less work, but here's what's interesting about it. So like one critique when like self-checkout comes out and is rolling out, people will go like, well, this is bad because people will lose their jobs. So we shouldn't do it so people get to keep their jobs, right? Okay, if I flip-flop, now I sound like the corporate or the capitalist tech head, right? I can see where it would be like, that's not really a good reason to... If I put on my dumbass grade 1 economics hat, right, I can see where maybe it would like, you shouldn't artificially stagnate technology just to keep people's jobs, right? Mm-hmm. But that is a problem because we live in a system where losing your job means life, death, homelessness, all these things. So it's like, once again, we're fucked by capitalism, folks. Everyone's talking about it. Because it's like, yeah, automating all these jobs would be great if there was an alternative for these people. That. Yeah. Okay? In a world where you have to have a job to survive, how can we develop... Yeah, dude, I love technology. Yeah. Why is it used in the worst way?
Yeah, and it's not even that it's used... I mean, yeah, it is used in the worst way sometimes, but like to make a self-checkout, like that's awesome. Like why do people need to spend their lives... doing that?
Like, here's, you know, I shouldn't have brought up the self-checkout.
Well, what do you have to say?
I'll say that that's actually, I think, a not so good example. You know what? That's actually an example of a different phenomenon, which is it's worse to bag your own groceries than to have someone who can do it, I think. But it saves the company money.
Oh, like as a service.
Here's what I'm saying. If I go to the grocery store, I would rather, if I'm buying the groceries for the week, I would rather go through a normal checkout.
If you had like 4 bags.
Or possibly more. People have families, you know? Dude, that probably sucks ass to do self-checkout if you're feeding like a family for 2 weeks or a week. That's a ton of groceries. Yeah. In the minivan. So, you know,
you're right.
That's an example where like... It's a cool... That's almost worse. That's actually the even lesser example where it's like, it's not even better. It just is cheaper for the company. And maybe, you know, like...
I see what you mean.
Or the convenience thing. Like, what do we like about self-checkout? It's fast. I feel like that's the only advantage.
It's very fast. I feel like I usually do self-checkout unless I see that a guy, you know, like someone is like at an open... thing.
But see, here we are, Ron. This is us. We are so strapped for time that we're like, I'll bag my own groceries. Even if I do it shitty and now I work at Target for like 2 seconds, I'll bag it because it's faster.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I don't know. I think it's good to do. I don't think that's bad because I think that the work, no matter who's doing the bagging, I think the sad part maybe is like the human interaction is lost.
Well, but what if the person bagging groceries was like making twice as much and only working like 4-hour shifts or 6-hour shifts? You know? It's like, I feel like there could be...
Like if they were treated better.
Yeah, like it's not only a matter of like, well, I don't want anyone to have to cashier. It's like, it also could be made nicer for them to do it.
Yeah, if it was like esteemed. Yeah. If we didn't have such a, you know...
That's component too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. We have certain jobs where like held in high esteem, certain jobs where like, oh, that's trash.
But also like okay, like being like cooking food at McDonald's, like being in the back at McDonald's, that probably does suck to do now. It's probably just like literally not fun to do.
Yeah.
But also part of that might be because you're walking and knowing like, holy fuck, I'm gonna do this for 8 hours. That sucks.
Yeah.
If it was like a smaller shift and you got paid more, those are the things. PTO. Yeah, I mean, like office labor is a good example of that. Right?
Some people, because some people like, hey, they might like doing that. Like they might not want to like work at a computer because of their personality, but like because that job pays shitty and it's like seen as like not a good job, they will get an office job.
Absolutely. Well, and also, look, I'm not idealist. You know, I'll say when I think about a future where work is better and things like that, I don't think that everyone's going to get to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't think that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I think that is okay in a world where everyone is working on things like I don't think that necessarily anyone wants to do really hard labor, like hard physical labor. But if you were doing it for a shorter amount of time and it was like you fulfilling your debt to society, it's like, well, it was like almost meaningful. Work. Yeah, like we all work 20 hours a week picking up trash and digging trenches because we all have to do it.
Yeah, it's not because it's what everything I want to do. Looks beautiful because of it.
And then at the end of that, 4-hour shift, their 6-hour shift that day, the rest of the day is mine to do what I please.
Yeah.
And I will live and I will be housed,
Yeah.
Have food,
and healthcare, all shit to like other people.
Which is utopian, but I just think it's interesting. Sometimes I see this kind of I see people online talk about like some sort of utopian post-capitalist future in this way where they think that like it's only going to be cool and sick all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that's what it will be like.
Yeah, there's still work. I think there's always going to be problems in society, whether they're like, they have to do with like labor.
I would concur.
Or they have to do with like, like economic crisis or like climate or, there's always going to be like big issues or like war, that we need to do. Like that stuff isn't going to go away. I think that like certain things get easier. Like 100 years ago, you had to worry about like your food going bad a lot more than we have to do now. You know, you had to worry, they had like diseases that, we didn't have cures for yet, and like cancer and like, there's so many medical issues now that we still haven't solved, and like hopefully we solve those. And like I don't know, there's always going to be like issues and shit. Yeah.
I'll give you an example just to jump back what you're saying. Maybe someone would like to do that, right? Okay, that's me. I work in an office. I don't enjoy that. I would much rather... You know what job I'd like to do? I'd like to drive a truck.
Okay.
My favorite job I ever had involved driving a truck.
Cool.
I would love to do that, okay? Problem is, it sucks ass to drive a truck right now. Like, all of them do overtime all the time. You never are home. You don't really get a lot of PTO. Mm-hmm. It's like a shit deal. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll work in an office because at least it's like easier, even though I don't like sitting at a desk for 8 hours. I hate that.
Yeah. So
we're kind of disincentivizing people from doing shit they want to do that is even maybe more useful to society.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking about a reverse where it's like there's a trucker who like hates it and he like wants to work in the office.
Could have been the only thing
he doesn't have the connections.
Yeah. Well, probably a lot of office work shouldn't exist too.
Do you have time to go into that a little bit?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. But I mean, I don't know. There's this book I want to read by David Graeber called Bullshit Jobs or something.
I've heard of
this. I really want to read that. But I mean, intuitively, it kind of makes sense. I mean, because like a lot of companies and a lot of office positions maybe wouldn't exist in a different world. It's just like
sort of like middlemen, like middle management.
Yeah, I know that the book is concerned with middle management, but it's like, it's not even like, I'm almost talking about something even more common that like, I definitely fulfill a function at my office. Like I definitely do something that has to get done.
Yeah.
But the thing that I do, the product that I support, like would that product exist in a different world is my question.
Okay, like the whole product is...
Like a whole lot of offices do things that might not make sense in a different
if it weren't for like profit driven.
Or the convenience. It's like all these products of convenience, right? You know, like Quip. Like the mail order toothbrush company Quip. Do we need Quip? You know, and they have a whole office, they have a whole corporate office and assistants and interns and...
I can personally attest that I had Quip. That shit broke 2 times.
Fuck Quip. Anti-advertisement.
It broke 2 times. I bought a regular toothbrush and I keep on buying regular toothbrushes.
What the fuck? Quip. We're so fucked. Okay. You know what never happened to me ever in my life was I was like, where am I going to get a toothbrush? It's at CVS. It's a fucking Oral-B, and it's great. It's literally good.
Why do we need electric?
But Quip isn't even good electric. It doesn't just vibrate.
It just vibrates.
It doesn't even have the spinny shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think there's a culture of ordering subscription-based things, and that's like a hot yuppie thing to do is get subscription fuel.
Right. But it's not even better. This is what it's crazy to me. There's certain things that we're shipping.
I try those things all the time, and they're not good.
But this is so crazy to me. So what kind of crazy palace of illusions are we in where it's like, okay, you're someone who has been getting toothbrushes at Target or CVS or something your whole life. You've never had a fucking problem. The toothbrush is fine. Then you see Quip, and you're like, it can get sent to my house, and then it gets sent to your house, and it sucks. It's worse. What the fuck is going on? And you just keep doing it. It's almost like it's even worse than convenience and giving up something for convenience. It's a worse product.
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's like the branding gets you and like the way that they're doing. You're like, I feel cool.
The concept of convenience. Like, well, it must be more convenient because it's getting shipped to my house and I pay a monthly fee and it's taken care of. That must be more convenient. And that would only make sense if you're, I guess, fucked in the head, or if you're like, well, I'm so busy, which is sad, that I can't even go get the toothbrush at CVS.
At that point, yeah.
Dude, we're fucked.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, dude.
That's wild. All right, I think we should wrap up soon. We had like a great conversation. Is there anything you want to leave with?
Yeah. Okay, everyone, check this out. I actually have plugs now. You know, I should have thought of that. Listen to Down the Tubes, my podcast with Jack McLennan and Sam.
Cool.
Down the Tubes Pod at Down the Tubes Pod on Instagram. Follow us there, and then I don't know what it is. If you search Down the Tubes, I should say this. It's TOOBS.
TOOBS.
Not TUBES. Yeah, it's Down the Tubes. So at Down the Tubes, TOOBS POD Pod. Down the Tubes Pod on Instagram.
Cool. And
if on YouTube you search like Down the Tubes TOOBS, it should come up on YouTube. So nice. We have some good episodes. Try and make that more regular. And then also, if you're in Los Angeles, I'll be doing a free show on February 16th, I believe, at Ono Vino.
Is that a stand-up show? Or?
No, I won't be doing stand-up. I'll be doing something different than stand-up. I'll be a character with a PowerPoint. This PowerPoint comedy.
Oh, dude, I love your PowerPoints.
Well, thank you, dude. I haven't even done that many. It's kind of hip. It's a little hipster.
It's sort of cool,
but it is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then on February 23rd, I believe I'm going to be doing a show called Besitos. And I don't know quite what I'll be doing there yet, but that's at Lyric Hyperion in Los Angeles.
That's dope.
So yeah, people come check that out. Follow me on Instagram at ancient_zillennial. That's
now he's
ancient_zillennial Brendon Hannaford.
Or Bronze Age
Dem on Twitter. Yeah, I haven't really figured out Twitter yet, but at Bronze Age Dem on Twitter. That's kind of a little cute joke.
Yeah. It goes hard. Yeah, I'm Ronald Cacchetti. Ron Loves It Always on Instagram, but Ronald Cacchetti on like everything else. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to this episode. Really appreciate it.
Fuck, dude. Hit me up too, honestly.
For sure.
Like people watching, like just DM me on Instagram too.
DM us.
Just DM us, DM me, DM Ron, make a group chat. I'd love to just hear from a stranger.
Just make a stranger just makes a group chat.
Dude, I would love to just fucking hear from strangers, bro.
That would make my life. In this era, like there's nothing sweeter. Dude.
JK, well, unless you're a freak, then it's no good.
Yeah. I'm not a freak.
Dude, I've been doing my like nervous tick this whole episode. I'm realizing where I go like this with my arm.
I didn't
I scratch my shoulder. It's like a weird thing. I really got to quit that if I'm going to be on more of these filmed things, you know?
Okay. Let's talk about that next time.
Next time.
All right.